Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. For some reason, my keyboard is not copying. Copy. Let's see if we can do a copy and paste. Come on, baby. Yes, we can. That was a lot tougher than it should have been. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate you being with us today and every day, to be quite honest, Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We go about an hour each day, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. You know, it all depends. Yesterday we went more. We'll see what we do today. It's a Friday, though, so we have Russell Clay visiting with us. All of our guests at FantasyGuru.com hop on and join us about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm with you all, as you're probably aware at this point, on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. On Wednesdays, Justin Fensterman runs the ship here. On Wednesdays, I'm with Jeff Mans. Jeff Mans got an elite sports show on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. That show is Monday through Friday, and the show is 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm with him on Wednesdays. So I'm not here on Wednesdays, but I'm here the other 4 days of the week. Justin Fensterman's here with you on those Wednesdays. Mondays, I ride solo or review what's going on in the world of football by reviewing the Sunday game action. So we'll do that on Monday. Tuesdays, changes next week. Okay, I'm trying to determine. I haven't quite got it locked down. We might do one more week with some baseball. We kind of do some reviews of how things kind of went. But we're obviously going mostly football here the rest of the way. Tuesdays at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, Armando Marsal joins us. Wednesday, Rich Mileto joins Justin Fensterman. Thursdays, Tyler Beaker joins me. And then Fridays like today, Russell Clay will join. So we'll continue to bring all the guests in. We'll continue to have those half-hour discussions with them, focusing on football. Justin and I mixing in some other sports in the first half of the shows, Monday through Friday. Here's what we're doing today. Let's throw it up on the old screen here. We're going to talk some baseball. I know we're a fantasy show, but we got to spend a moment talking about the Guardians, right? People have been following this story. I know a lot of people are focusing on the Tigers and their failures, which is true. Let's focus on the Guardians for a second. Got Nick Kurtz and Christian Walker, a couple of first basemen to talk about, and then it's all pitching. We're just going to go through, review a bunch of the guys on the hill. Some guys coming on strong down the stretch, some guys struggling down the stretch, some guys leveling out down the stretch. We'll discuss a lot of these hurlers moving forward. Then we've got a discussion in about 25 minutes. I put MNF, Monday Night Football News. That's the TNF. Oh, Ray. See, this is what happens when you get to work. It's early in the morning. For those people that don't know, I start my day at about 7 o'clock in the morning. It's only 9 o'clock right now. I make stupid mistakes. I'm making an adjustment here so that people don't think I'm crazy. And if it's NFL talk. NFL talk. Jeez. That's really bad. Sorry, folks. Thursday Night Football. We'll talk about the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Obviously, review what went down there. A football game. Did we learn anything? We'll talk about it here with Russell Clay. I might even get onto it a little bit depending upon what goes down here over the next half hour or so. But we'll review that. And then we'll also talk with Russ about some players that maybe you're in on, maybe you're out on. Should you be in on this guy or that guy? Ferguson or Andrews? Which guy do you want at the tight end spot? Henry or Pitts? These are guys that are in the news a lot. So we'll talk a little bit about the tight end position. We'll also talk about some of the youngsters with Russell Clay, guys under center like Jaxson, Dart, and Bo Nix. What does the future hold for Dart, and what is going on with Nix, who has absolutely struggled to find his game relative to expectations in his performance last season? So we'll talk to him about that in a bit. Also, remember, for the rest of this month, which is only a couple more days, buy one, get one free. We got the BOGO special going on over at FantasyGuru.com. Buy one, get one free. Buy the DFS football product, get the wagering football product for free. Buy the betting football product, get the DFS product for free. It's 2 for 1. Buy one, buy the other. Send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com if you got any questions. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. As you're going through the process, click them both, right? When it comes time to pay, it'll give you the 50% discount. Don't worry about that. So if you have any questions, support at FantasyGuru.com. But get on this. Only a couple more days left to get a really great double package for half price. And as we've discussed this week on the show, legitimately, our packages are less expensive than most anyway. And now we're talking about a 50% discount. And remember, it's still week 4, so it's a long season. You're getting a huge deal. Hit us up over at fantasyguru.com, support at fantasyguru.com, or just click that subscribe tab and have at it at the website. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Guardians here. Like I said, the Tigers are in danger of having the greatest collapse basically in baseball history. The record for the largest comeback in baseball history in terms of being down in the standings to win a division was the 1914 Braves, who were down 15 games before they came back to win the division. The Guardians on July 6th were 15 and a half games behind the Tigers. 15 and a half games behind the Tigers. They are now tied with the Tigers. They're both 86 and 73. So by half a game, the Guardians have a chance to have the largest comeback in baseball history to win a division. They were 15 and a half games back on July 6th. So halfway through the year, they were 15 and a half games back. They lost the first game of September, did the Tigers. I was reading an article this morning. Even with that loss after the first day of September, so September 2nd, the Tigers had a 99.8% chance to win the Central Division according to Fangraphs. Let me say that again. 99.8% chance to win. And they're tied. 0.2%. And they're tied. So we could focus on the negativity with the Tigers, which is easy to do. I'd prefer to focus, for once, I'm being positive. Focus on the positivity of the Guardians. Remarkable and a chance at a historic comeback to win the division. We'll see how it goes here the next 3 days. What a bunch of excitement Major League Baseball's got. We'll see how it transitions into the playoffs and all of that. But it's rocket. Baseball's rocking and rolling right now, and you're probably all aware of that because you play some fantasy baseball. That's why you're with us here on the show every day, Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock. That's why you're with us over at fantasyguru.com. Again, I'm Ray Flowers. Twitter, X, Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, all those places at the Ray Flowers. Hit me up. I'm in Discord all the time answering baseball, football questions. Yeah, John, you did. You clicked on the wrong show. Positivity? Did I click on the wrong show? Yeah, you did. But for once, I was positive. I'm going to be positive here with this next guy, too. Nick Kurtz has been fantastic. And, he doesn't even have 500 plate appearances. He's going to get MVP votes, right? Like, this is going to happen. He went 3 for 5 last night. Another couple of home runs. He's got 35 home runs. He's batting .290 with a .390 on base percentage and a .620 slugging percentage. This is Yordan Alvarez. This is Mike Trout. This is Aaron Judge stuff. He has been fan-frickin-tastic. So many of the youngsters haven't been, but Nick Kurtz has been. 18 opposite field home runs. So over half his home runs have been opposite field home runs. Now, the home park in Sacramento helps. There's no doubt about that. But half of his home runs have been hit to the opposite field. That's amazing. Not only is that amazing, that really gives you the strength and the belief and the longevity here of this power stroke if he's able to utilize the entire field like he is this year. So tip of the cap to him. This could not have gone better. We run the issue of what we're going to expect next year, right? We have this all the time, right? This dude's going to hit .290 with 35 home runs and 500 plate appearances. People are going to say, well, is he going to hit .290 next year with 45 home runs and 120 RBIs because he did it last year on a pace? We'll get into that, of course. But the bottom line is just he's obviously going to win the Rookie of the Year award, and he's going to get MVP votes. Just fantastic season for Nick Kurtz. Another guy who is coming along a little bit down the stretch here. You knew I was going to mention Walker. Oh, well, you did. John, you're on. See, you and I, same wavelength here. And as you can tell, if you're watching this live or even on demand, you can watch it at any point on demand in 3 places. And in those 3 places, if you're watching live, you can leave comments and questions that we address throughout the show. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite, and Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. Any of those 3 places, watch live or on demand. And if you are watching live, you can leave comments and questions like John is doing here. You can also just go to fantasyguru.com, click the Elite Plus tab on the toolbar at the top of the page. You can find the show in podcast form there at the site. You can also, when you click on that Elite Plus tab, see all the shows all the shows, the right way to say it. All the shows in the network. And you can also just type in Fantasy Sports Daily wherever you listen to your podcast. So you have the ability to watch us or listen to us as a podcast. Just type in Fantasy Sports Daily wherever you listen to those. Walker hit a home run last night. He had a 2-out RBI single as well later in the game. And, he's not gotten to where we expected him to be this season. So it's not a victory if you took Christian Walker. But he does have 24 home runs and 85 RBIs. And last year he had 26 home runs and 84 RBIs. Batting average is only 238, so it's, but he's actually done a fairly good job given how poor he was to start the season. A fairly good job of rebounding. And in the second half, in 62 games, 12 home runs and 38 RBIs. So basically for the second half of the season, he was who you drafted him to be. He wasn't in the first half, but he was in the second half. And he's been one of the few guys that's tried to help the Astros here as, Abreu struggles with performance. Alvarez can't stay on the field. Pena's been injured. Like, this team is all kinds of jacked up, right? Walker's pulling his weight. And in the end, Walker's was fine. Was he great? No. Did he go 30-100 like we hoped? No. He was fine. It would be great if the 236 average was 256, right? He was fine, though. You didn't lose your season because of Christian Walker. Unless you dropped him halfway through the year, which a lot of you probably did, and then didn't get the strong second half. But the bottom line is he's fine. Disappointing a little bit, but he was fine. Look at Fred saying, thank you for breaking down my question yesterday. I ended up benching Benson because of my depth chart. Well, we'll talk more about this game, obviously, in a bit here. What the Cardinals did last night, what the plan is moving forward. You're welcome, Fred. I'm glad I was able to help, and glad it worked out yesterday. We don't always make the right call. Sometimes we do. We'll see. I was a Benson guy yesterday, just to be clear for those of you checking in. I think we had Benson ranked, was it 21st at running back, something like that. Thursday Night Football, Jimmy Mercado, did he get all those snaps because it was Thursday Night Football? Are they going to make him just a third down back? Remember, Benson barely played third downs last night. I think he had like one third down he played last night. Still had 5 catches. He's averaging 4 catches the last 3 games. So that's going to help out an awful lot with him. We'll talk more about football in a few minutes with Russell Clay. Remember this. Let's talk some pitching here before we talk that football. Remember next year, when the Tampa Bay Rays say something about workload with a pitcher, write it down. Because all season long, we heard Drew Rasmussen is going to throw 150 innings this season. All season long, right? And Drew Rasmussen was killing it, pitching fantastically for the Tampa Bay, and all of a sudden, he got benched, right? Because they were working on saving his innings, and we all got nervous. Then there was the talk, well, he's going to pitch some short outings here for a bit. And then we got really nervous. Are they really going to shut him down? And is he going to be a 3-inning guy? Then they put him back in the rotation. Then they let him do his thing all over again. And he was fine. In the end, Drew Rasmussen, for the 5th year in a row. And again, some of these years are short. We're talking 40 innings, 30 innings. 5th year in a row, he's had an ERA under 3. And not that ERA is the end all be all. We know it's not. But 5th year in a row with the whip under 1.1. So 5 years in a row, Rasmussen has a 2.9 ERA and a 105 whip. I'm making those numbers up, so I'm not looking at them exactly. But that's basically what he's been. The Rays know what they're doing. Now, unfortunately, Rasmussen made 31 starts and threw 150 innings, which, if our math is right, less than 5 innings a start, which is terrible. Surprising he went 10-5, given the fact that they will not let him face a lineup 3 times in a row. They almost always pull him before 95 pitches. Oftentimes, they pull him before 90 pitches. They said, going back to my main point, he was going to throw 150 innings this year. He hit 150 innings, and they pulled him from the game yesterday. They didn't let him go 1 out past what they said. He threw 2 and a third scoreless innings, too, yesterday, and they pulled him anyway. Now, that's a little stupid. You could have at least let him finish the inning. That's, so again, stupid. But remember this next year. If the Rays say anybody, Shane McClanahan's going to throw 110 innings this year, he's not going past 110 innings. Now, I don't know if Shane McClanahan will overthrow 110 innings again. We'll see. But that's just wild. Wild how effective he has been. Wild how strict they are with his workload. And again, it's working, so I get it. But he's a really tough guy to get excited about in the fantasy space, despite the great work, because you just don't know if he's going to go 5 innings in an outing. He's got to be so perfect to make it through those 5 innings. He never goes 6 innings, right? It's just great performance. And again, the Rays know what they're doing, and it works, and that's all that really matters. Next up, yeah, he hurt his groin yesterday and didn't finish the game. All right, I get that. But he did throw 6 1/3 innings of shutout baseball. He walked 1 guy. He struck out 12 batters, a season best. And I got to say, I'm just going to say it, I'm pretty good at predicting this breakout pitcher of the year thing. I write this article every year. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of words. We take 20 guys. We boil it down to 15, to 10, to 5, and then they get the answer. Yeah, as John said, he who should not be asked about. I will say this. He was my breakout pitcher of the year for those of you that don't know. He went 9-8. Again, wins and losses. It's really hard to predict that. He had a 3.3 ERA. He had a 1.06 whip, and he struck out a batter an inning. He was the breakout pitcher of the year, and he broke out. And I will say this, too. And John, the reason John said that is that I have given you all, and again, I recorded this for years. I've got like 10 plus years, I think, of it at this point. I don't know if I'm going to do it next year. Because, again, I've got a track record of being really good at picking a guy whose ADP's around 200 who's much better than that, right? I received, as John is referencing here, I received more questions about starting Lodolo than I could imagine would be possible. He's my breakout pitcher of the year. He was breaking out, and people on a weekly basis were asking me if they should start him. So I don't know. I mean, if I got a guy at breakout pitcher of the year, you think I'm starting him? So a little frustrated with the user base over at FG on that one because, again, way too many questions about whether we should start Lodolo, who, again, had a 3.30 ERA, had a strikeout inning, had a 1.06 whip. So pretty damn good, and I'll probably do it next year, John. But maybe I'll write in the article, don't ever ask me if you're starting this guy. Okay, you're either in or you're out. And that's something I try to preach to with the longevity that's necessary in fantasy baseball. You're in or you're out. I'm in for 10 days, I'm out for 10 days, I'm in for 10. Nick Lodolo, great season. Unfortunately, he got hurt there at the end. No, you got it, Tim. Thank you. Great at the end. Beautiful effort yesterday despite that injury. It's a minor injury. It's not supposed to be a big long-term thing. But he came through yesterday in the finals for those of you that were still playing, and he basically came through for everybody all season long. Charlie Morton's going to start on Sunday. Again, he might throw 2 innings. I don't know how long he's going to go in this game. He goes back to Atlanta. This is basically it. Everyone's expecting this to be the end of his career. Nice to go back to where he won a World Series and all that kind of stuff. So he'll do that. The bigger storyline is Chris Sale will pitch in relief. This has to make you feel okay about his chance to get a victory. I would assume if the Braves are pitching Chris Sale, if he's the starter on Sunday, they're going to let him throw 5 or 6 innings anyway. So, I don't think they'd let him start and throw him 3 innings. That'd be stupid. So I don't know how much of a better chance he's got to get a victory pitching behind Morton if Morton goes out and gives up 3 runs, But this doesn't really hurt his chance for a victory. Chris Sale, it's against the Pirates. Fire up Chris Sale. If you see the news that Charlie Morton's starting the game, don't panic. He's not expected to go deep into this game. It's more of a swan song, tip the cap to a guy that, again, he's been around forever, 40 years old, all that kind of stuff. But Chris Sale's going to pitch out of relief, and he's obviously someone that you're starting against the Pirates. Sonny Gray. I appreciate the honesty. I always appreciate honesty. Did he really need to say what he said? Look, he's 35 years old. He's got 1 year left on his contract. And he basically said, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this. Totally fair, totally honest, totally real. He then said, well, and there's the quote. Whether I do decide that I want to go somewhere, whether that actually happens, I don't have complete control of that. Obviously, I have control of where I can or can't go. I'm going to be going on 36. It's going to be my 14th season. Last year, my contract for this. I don't know what the future holds for me. So he basically said, I want to pitch next year and I want to win next year. Cardinals, you ain't winning next year. Trade me. And again, I appreciate the honesty. Maybe he shouldn't have said it publicly. In fact, he shouldn't have said it publicly. But that's kind of his contention. So, he is 36. He is the last year of his contract, all that kind of stuff, Sonny Gray. But he's still really good. He's due $25 million next season. He does have a mutual option for 2027. So, could be 2 more years left. So that helps with his trade market. 14 victories this year, tied in his career best, actually. He threw 180 innings, which is great in the common day, made 32 starts, had 200 strikeouts for the 2nd consecutive year. It's fascinating to see that, his strikeout game, which has always been solid, he's got 180 strikeouts 3 years in a row. Now his ERA has gone from 3.8 or 2.8 to 3.8 to 4.3. But he still doesn't beat himself with the walk. In fact, his walk rate of 5% this year was the best it's ever been. So that 1-2-3 whip is the worst whip he's had in 6 years, 7 years. So he's still very effective. We'll see where he ends up to obviously judge his outlook for next season, but it does not appear likely that Sonny Gray will be pitching for the Cardinals next season. Bailey Ober, of course, Bailey Ober at the end of the season, shut out the Rangers for 6 innings. Bailey Ober gave up just 2 hits, got the victory. And this storyline is something that we have followed all season long here on the show, written about it in articles over at fantasyguru.com. The fact that Bailey Ober is just a good pitcher. At the same time, the dude's 6'9", 270 pounds, and he throws like 89 miles an hour. Like, this, it's just weird. You look at him and you think, oh, this guy's bringing it at 97. No, he's never been that guy. But worse yet, the velocity that he's lost is just, it's not come back. His fastball velocity, 92, 91, 91, 92, and this year is 90 miles an hour. And it's not that you can't be effective at 90 miles an hour. It's difficult to. It's not just that you lost 1.5 miles an hour in miles per hour. You can still be effective doing that, but your margin for error shrinks tremendously when you do this, right? The lack of velocity is significant. And it's especially significant when you talk about a pitcher who's got a 50% fly ball rate. So his home run to fly ball ratio is 13%, which is not bad, but it still led to a 1.85 home run per 9 mark. As much as I've been an Ober guy, just like I was a Jose Barrios guy until this year, as much as I've been an Ober guy, I don't think I'm going to be an Ober guy anymore. There's just too much volatility here. The strikeout rate plummeted. The velocity's down, like we said. Maybe some news comes out that he was battling through injury or something like that, but we didn't really get much of that. So we'll have to see with Ober. But right now, concerning trends with Bailey Ober. Framber Valdez, talk about a guy for the Astros who was struggling. He came through. Against the A's yesterday, 10 strikeouts, 7 innings, 1 run baseball's 13th victory of the year. And, I guess you never doubt the heart of a champion. Excuse me, let me take a sip of water. I guess you never doubt the heart of a champion, right? That just wouldn't be a smart thing to do. And clearly, Framber Valdez is a champion. But look at this runner here. His previous... This is as bad a 6-game stretch as Framber Valdez has probably ever had, right? His last 6 games, 27 runs in 32 innings. 16 walks in 32 innings. Like, what is 5 home runs? Like, just terrible. So I don't know who pitched him yesterday. If I had him, I would have done it, I think. But yeah. 7 innings, 1 run, 10 strikeouts. So he pulled it out of his rear end there. Overall, he's been good. Now, even with that horrible stretch, still has double-digit victories for the 15th time. Still has thrown 190 innings. Had 187 strikeouts, which is the third best mark of his career. He's now got a 4-year low of 169 strikeouts. He's got a 4-year low of 176 innings. He's 31, will be 32 next month. The whip of 124 will be the 4-year worst for him, but it's still an okay mark. Still giving you a strikeout an inning, still giving tons of strikeouts, still giving you the workload. So, whereas with Luis Castillo, it's like, well, it's time to back off Luis Castillo, another veteran that throws a lot of innings. I think in the case of Valdez, it's still okay to be in on Valdez next season. I think it was just a rough patch for a month, and he really did come through. Really did come through yesterday for the Astros. Next up, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Shut out the Diamondbacks for 6 innings yesterday, struck out 7. And, Yamamoto was supposed to be this guy last year. Injuries, obviously, short-circuited his season and all that. But not a lot of people have talked about the fact that he's been terrific this year. He hasn't been good. He's been terrific. His ERA is 2.5. His whip is 0.99, and he's got 200 strikeouts. He has been, again, terrific. Now, he also had 170-plus innings pitched. Jeff Mans and I talked about this in the preseason, and I predicted, and somehow it was correct, that Yamamoto would be the only guy that would throw 160 innings for the Dodgers. Jeff didn't think there was any chance anyone for the Dodgers would throw 160 innings. I was right about Yamamoto. Jeff was wrong about Yamamoto, but Jeff was right about the Dodgers because if you look at the rest of this team, no one else on this team threw 110 innings. Remarkable, right? And we'll see. We talked about Sasaki earlier this week about how he might work the 9th inning, all that kind of stuff. But Yamamoto, absolutely fantastic. Just terrific. And he was the only starting pitcher on this team, despite all the talent they have. He was the only starting pitcher that was trustworthy. from start to finish. He'll get MVP, Cy Young votes, of course. Parker Messick, who did a great job of keeping the ball in the ballpark for the Guardians, didn't yesterday. He gave up 4 runs in his 5 innings of work against the Tigers. Perez hit a home run. Jones hit a home run. Green hit a home run against him. Threw 89 pitches, though. I mean, look, he threw 39 innings, had 38 strikeouts, 6 walks, 2.7 ERA. That was a great run for a youngster. For those of you that picked him up off the waiver wire, you got really good work. Now, yesterday was disappointing. If you're in the head-to-head playoffs, I understand. But that was a really good effort from Parker Messick. Let's pull up his data real quickly here. We got a few more moments before we talk some football with Russell Clay. The 24-year-old who was, he's a top 5 or 6 prospect with the Cleveland organization. He made those 7 starts. In those 7 starts, again, I mentioned it, about a strikeout an inning with the league average strikeout rate. Great job with the walks, a 4% walk rate. Now, he's always been a guy that's been able to throw strikes, never to this level. So that's something to think about heading into next season. That 3.6% walk rate is doubling next year. So that caused a little bit of concern when you look at a 1.3 whip, because you think, oh no, that number's going up, until you realize he had a 360 batting average on balls in play. That number's going down. So at the end of the day, I think that 1.3 whip, that's about what we're likely expecting from Messick. I think we're in that 8 strikeout per 9 zone with him. So I think he's a 6, 7, 8 starter in a mixed league. He's more of a streaming option, I think, next season. But again, very, very strong rookie season for the hurler of the Guardians. Craig Counsell reported yesterday that Cade Horton, who's got that back issue, probably going to be okay for the playoffs. He's going to resume throwing today if the reports there are good. I guess it's all wheels up for Horton. Horton, who you all are aware, has done his best Jake Arrieta impression. For those of you that remember Jake Arrieta's second half when he won that Cy Young Award, where he was just had one of the greatest second halves in baseball history for a pitcher. Cade Horton in the second half has a 103 whip and 103 ERA and a 0.78 whip. Phenomenal second half. He's a huge piece for the Cubs. Obviously, playoff scenario would increase their odds of success with him on the hill. They're hopeful that he'll be available to start in the postseason, throwing today to see if that's a realistic possibility. The Red Sox, as well as many teams, still haven't really set their rotations officially for these final few days of the regular season. Kyle Harrison, Connolly earlier going to pitch the next 2 games Sunday. A lot of teams, and this is something I was talking about, or I saw it mentioned by Verbal over in Discord at FG, especially going into the weekend here, like teams that are kind of hanging in the playoff hunt that are going to fall out Saturday, Sunday, who knows who they play, right? It's so a lot of teams, even with the guys that are scheduled to start on Sunday, who knows if they actually even throw a pitch that day. So be nimble, as we've talked about earlier this week. If you're still playing, be nimble. Hopefully you still have the open waiver wire. Unfortunately, most of my leagues don't. Sunday's supposed to be Lucas Giolito's turn, by the way, for the Red Sox. I have Giolito. I have him active. I'm hoping he makes the start. But we just don't, if the Red Sox are locked in, Giolito probably doesn't start, so they can use him in the playoffs. So the nature of the game here. David Bednar, by the way, picked up a save for the Yankees yesterday. Remember how Bednar was big concern, right, early in the year? Oh, my gosh, David Bednar. And oh, my God. In the end, David Bednar has got 26 saves. He's got a 2.47 ERA. He's got a 1.02 whip, and he's got 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. This is really as good as he's ever pitched. I know, right? Yeah, it's been a phenomenal season for him, split between the Pirates and the Yankees. And I just wanted to give him a shout out. He did have 39 saves a couple weeks ago, and I guess you can argue in 2023 he was obviously better in a fantasy perspective. But he's never really pitched better than he's pitching right now. He's been terrific this season after that slow start. Shout out to David Bednar, who a lot of people were concerned with. And then finally, before we talk football with Russell Clay, Bryan Woo, I guess theoretically could pitch Sunday. He's not going to pitch Sunday. But the good news is he is likely to be available for the playoffs, for the Mariners. They're optimistic that, during the postseason, he'll get an opportunity to pitch. Remember, he had that pectoral issue. I tweeted out video of him throwing the ball yesterday in the outfield at the Ray Flowers. He wasn't letting it rip, but he was throwing it, looked fine, looked like everything was good there. So they're hopeful after that throwing series yesterday, if he shows up today and feels good, that he's got a chance to start in the postseason for the Mariners. So there you go. So there's our baseball talk. And again, like I said, on Monday, we don't talk any baseball. Monday, it's all reviewing Sunday football. I spend an hour just going team by team, what I saw, what I didn't see, what I liked, what I didn't like, that kind of thing. So we'll do that on Monday. Next week, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll probably talk a little bit more baseball for one more week before we transition things over to full-time football on the show. Every Friday, though, we talk some football with our main man, Russell Clay. You can find him on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radios on Sunday nights with Justin Fensterman from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find him with us here every Friday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can find him in Discord all the time. He's updating the Dynasty rankings every week. He does TikTok videos where he sits down with all of you and says, this is what I'm doing. What do you think? Has a back and forth with you as he's doing the rankings. Kind of a cool thing. So for those of you interested in that, check that out. He's often on the live stream on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, writing articles, all that stuff. He is Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Russ?
We're all in, Ray. We're all in on the content, on fantasy football, on Fantasy Guru. So, yeah, quite the sketch at this point.
Yeah, right. There's a lot happening. It's a fun time, obviously. You know, we're knee deep in it. Oh, I didn't mention you do college football too, right?
I do college football, though. I will say sometimes I cheat off Mike the Beard's paper for the main slate. He's the man. But yeah, do college football DFS.
So there you go. All over the place. We got it all for you over at fantasyguru.com. By the way, if you sign up for the NFL package for football, obviously, because that is football, you get college with it. So don't, it's thrown in there. You sign up for that DFS football, that wagering football package. We should just call it a football package, not even NFL, because you get college. So check that out. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Remember that 50% discount. Let me throw it up on the screen for those of you that are just joining us because you wanted to see Russ. Buy one, get one free. Buy the DFS package for football. Buy the betting package for football. Get the other one for free. So 2 for 1. So check that out for the rest of this month, and then it goes away. So only a couple of days left to get that handled. All right, Russ, let's talk some Thursday night football before we break down some wider reaching questions. I wanted to ask you a bunch of, the quarterback, tight end stuff. Last night was a frustrating night. Seahawks win 23-20. Frustrating night if you had Kenneth Walker, because here comes Zach Charbonnet running into the pile, doing absolutely nothing, getting the touchdown. I think Zach Charbonnet averages about 2.4 yards a touch this year. Kenneth Walker's about 4.7 yards a touch this year. For those people disappointed with Kenneth Walker, I'm focusing on the fact he had 20 touches last night. So how did you see that thing playing out last night in the backfield, and what are your expectations here? Because Seattle clearly thinks Charbonnet's a thing. He keeps doing nothing, though. I don't know. What do you think?
Back in my day, when a guy had over 100 total yards, we were happy with the performance.
That's true.
But whenever I go to social media, everyone is pissed. And then I see the Trey Benson who had like 11 PPR points last night, and everyone's talking about how horrible, like it's Armageddon. And I'm like, what is going on? How many points do you people want? How many points do you people need? No, sort of jokes aside, but sort of not. Like, if a guy gets 10 fantasy points in a PPR league, I am happy with the week, unless it's a Saquon or like Derrick Henry last week. That stunk, right? Like, we weren't happy with that at all. But I'm basically like, all right, if you get me over 10, hopefully someone else on the team, and I also, this brings up a lot bigger points, Ray, for me. And I was talking about it in the Discord yesterday for Fantasy Guru. I think start sits are a good thing. I think it's good to go through your lineup and make sure you have all the best plays in there.
Right.
But I also think you save yourself months off your life by not overstressing about like 17 different start sits that make everything really complicated, that make my brain say, wow, that's tough. If you have 4 RB1s, I feel like we did our job at Fantasy Guru. So yeah, it obviously wasn't a great night. We hate the Charbonnet, and Charbonnet almost had two. Thankfully, JSN, as I resentfully watched, got the holding call, so he didn't get the two. But it's not great. But I still thought Ken Walker looked amazing. And if you are a Ken Walker owner, that was a pretty tough defense. So that's a really good indicator for later in the year that you have Ken on this great offense. So overall, I was sitting there on my own and I'm like, this is great news for Ken Walker.
Yeah, again, remember, folks, focus on the fact he had 100+ scrimmage yards and 20 touches. Like, you do that, to Russ's point, you do that for 7 or 8 years, you're in the Hall of Fame. Just saying. Yeah. Just saying. What about the passing attack? Jack Smith and Jigba 4 for 79. Yeah. Disappointing in the matchup. Yeah. It's his worst game of the year. But you start looking at this, and every week of the season, his target total's going down. This team is not throwing the ball 30 times a week. They're just not pushing the ball through the air. Are we going to get this top 10 JSN performance if we're looking at him getting 5 to 7 targets a week, which is where we've been the last couple of weeks?
That stock has been going down every week, hasn't it? Yeah. I still like JSN. It's he's a very talented guy. It's in division rivalry, but yeah, last night was not fun. And there are probably going to be more weeks like this where they don't need to use him, and that's basically what happened. What I would say is, so this brings up the point, I'm just starting JSN every week. I don't think about it. I don't do anything. I don't care who the cornerback is. I'm just starting him every week. And there's going to be weeks like this, which kind of sucked. He had like 0 yards in the third quarter, so that sucked. But yeah, we're going to be all right, everybody.
Yeah, and I did this, and I'll just say it here. I wrote a little paragraph in full capital letters and bolded it and put it in Discord yesterday. And to Russ's point, and I know he saw it yesterday, he commented on it too. The bottom line is this. Like Russ said, if you've got 4 top 18 running backs or 5 top 25 wide receivers, bravo. You did a great job. You're also going to make the wrong decision every single week on who to start. It's just how it is. And don't give yourself an ulcer. Jeff Mans talks all the time about making a depth chart. Just decide I'm playing Walker over Benson. Just decide you're playing Benson over Walker. Like, you got to do that. There's no, and people don't want to hear this. There's no difference between running back 21 and 20. There's no difference between wide receiver 21 and 23. There's no difference. It's 5 yards here. It's 1 target there. It's 2 carries here. They're the same guy. So bully for people that have built great teams. But again, we keep saying the same thing, and I'm frustrated for the people, and I know they're frustrated based upon the questions. At some point, you got to be in a deeper league. You got to be in a more challenging league, or you just got to understand you're going to have tough decisions every week, and you're going to make wrong decisions every week.
And this is a signal that you're making the right moves, right? This is a signal you're building a great roster, and we want you to benefit from that. I guess the main point is with start sits, I don't sweat them as much because I've been spectacularly wrong before and I've been right. And, we have those optimal lineup start sit things that they put on the sites. And it's like, they do that to torture us.
Right.
As long as you're in the 80 to 90%, if you're getting it mostly right, by the end of the year, the points are going to average out and you're going to get more right than you got wrong. But yeah, we've all had that start sit or two where we get it painfully wrong. If you get it wrong by 5 points, I don't want to say it's not a big deal. We want to get everything right.
Of course.
But it's not that big of a deal.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Let's talk a little bit more about the Benson situation with the Cardinals before we move on from this game. Benson didn't play the 2-minute drill. I think he had 1 snap on 3rd down.
Yeah.
Ugh. But he caught 5 passes. Okay, so even though he wasn't out there on 3rd down, he was still utilized in the passing game. He had 13 touches. Didn't do much. Okay. What did you think of his effort last night? 1. And 2, do you think the usage we saw last night, because people are going to, DeMarc Carter scored a touchdown. He only touched the ball 4 times. Do you think Benson's share of the touches grows when we have a full week? Because remember, they were on a short week this week too. Do you think that impacted the usage last night as well?
I think playing Seattle was the biggest effect on the usage. Seattle was really in control of that game from the very beginning. Benson started out with some nice rushing attempts and looked like the guy I thought he would. And then they fell behind 2-3 possessions. Again, they still used him in the receiving game. I thought he looked good. Everything looks good. He looks like Trey Benson. He looks like that guy out of Florida State. Going to be much easier matchups ahead. But again, if you started him in PPR, you got the 10 points, and we are on to next week. If you're in a standard league, 5.4 points, probably not what you were looking for. No doubt about that. So if you're in standard, that's rough. Again, I'm still starting Benson almost every week from now on. We've seen James Conner. This is kind of his usage in those come from behind games as well. So we're looking for that James Conner usage. They are not doing the 49ers thing where we're just giving McCaffrey 75 touches a game.
Right.
Connor's been in that like 15 to 18 touch range just about every week the last couple of years. So that's what we're looking at for Benson moving forward.
Anthony C, I can't talk, says, TikTok Russ, what is your TikTok account and when do you do the visit with the fans about the dynasty rankings?
Yes. Russell J. Clay on Wednesdays. We get a rowdy bunch in there. There's no guarantee you will affect the rankings, but you can get your voice out there and I will listen and tell you I don't like what you're saying.
That sounds like me. I'll listen. I'm not going to change my opinion, but I'll listen. Russ Clay of fantasyguru.com. Jaxson Dart's taken over a little bit earlier than I anticipated, but they're making the move here.
Yep.
Who is Jaxson Dart this season? Who is he long-term? And how does his inclusion as the quarterback impact notably Malik Neighbors?
Very curious about this one. He jokingly on the Gruden camp, Gruden told him to do like a snap count, and he just did the claps. And it's a funny joke, but it's also true. And you know, this offseason, I watched a Trevor Lawrence interview, and he came out and admitted like he didn't know how to make the play calls when he came in his rookie year, which
does
is
he now? Oh, sorry.
Well, right. We still don't know if he knows how to do it in year 5. So Dart, I'm very curious. I'm very curious how they do this because I don't think he was ready when they brought him in, and I think that's why they have Russ and Jameis. But they're going to give it a shot. So I'm fascinated. Great athlete, great raw prospect, good arm. Hopefully he can get it to Neighbors. That's our hope, right? We just hope he can get it to Neighbors and allow Cam Scatterbo to be the absolute insane man that he is. Beyond that, you know, if you're starting Dart this week, it's a desperation play. Hopefully you get a few runs. He is a running quarterback, so don't get that confused. He's a runner. So, but yeah, overall should be fun.
Best case scenario from here forward. Best case for him. He's quarterback 10, 15, 20. Like, give us a general thought. I know you're probably going to say he's a quarterback too, but best case scenario, where does he end up?
Best case scenario is there's no film on him and he gets a ton of rushing production. And that first month or two, there's just the teams aren't ready for him. And then I will say even in the best case scenario, there will be games where the ceiling is, or the floor is 0. Right. But yeah, that ceiling could be pretty high. So that's best case.
Russell Clay, fantasyguru.com. What about Bo Nix? Had a really good season last year. Down the stretch was producing at least 2 touchdowns every game, like basically the second half of the season. This year, the numbers aren't good. And I think as concerning as the numbers aren't good is he's not playing well. Like watching him play, it's like, ugh. Bo Nix is obviously drafted as a quarterback 1. Is he still a quarterback 1? What are you seeing?
So there are a few guys I've changed my evaluation on. I think 3 weeks is when we can start to change our perspective on things. The Bo Nix one, I need a little more time. I'm not off him yet. It's been not great. He has not looked great all season, undeniably. But in the same respect, you still see the fantasy upside potential when he plays, running, even passing. There's a few drives here and there where you go, okay, if he can just put a few of these together every game, this is a QB1. So I'm not giving up on him yet. He's had a tough schedule too. Chargers. We don't think of the Colts as a tough matchup, but kind of is. So I do think he's going to be all right, but it's not been great.
Kansas City. Jeff Mann said this week, if you're going to get aggressive and get crazy, pick up Rashad Smith. I think some of our people over at fantasyguru.com have taken that a little too far. My point of view is ever since Pacheco was hurt the last time, this team has not run the ball effectively. So we're going on like a calendar year of them not running the ball effectively.
Yeah.
Pacheco and Hunt are both seeing the field the same amount of time. They're both touching the ball the same amount of time. They're not doing anything. I know, and I referenced this in Discord over at FG. You wrote an article, you wrote a series of articles, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, talking about kind of the history and all that. Rashad Smith's a 7th-round draft pick. The history of 7th-round draft picks in the NFL, having success, your article shows it's like, and again, you get the Arian Fosters and things happen, okay? Rashad Smith, under what scenario are you adding him? I think that's the better question. Could he take over this backfield? Sure. I haven't seen any signs of it. And again, they just haven't been effective running the football. And we know the receiving group is beat up too.
Okay. So this is where I've evolved, right? 10 years ago, I would just say anyone outside the top 3 rounds, scrap it. But there are outliers, and there will always be outliers. You mentioned Arian Foster. Austin Eckler was a great one. A guy like Adam Thielen. Pacheco himself. He had 1,000-yard season as a late round guy. So they do happen. And what we're looking for a great system, a good offensive environment, and actual opportunity. Chris Carson is another one who emerged and held off my boy Rashad Penny. That was another humbling one. I was a huge Rashad Penny guy.
Right.
And Pete Carroll was in training camp and like, nope. Carson's our guy. So it does happen. But again, Pete Carroll with those Seahawks teams, those were really good teams. The Chiefs are begging for explosiveness. Rashard Smith, great prospect profile. I was shocked he dropped past the 4th round. I really, really liked him, and I've been picking him up on waivers in my dynasty leagues. And here's where the price makes sense, right?
Okay.
We're not drafting Rashard Smith in the 4th round of our fantasy drafts. We're not taking him in the 1st round of our dynasty rookie drafts. Hopefully you're picking him up off waivers or trading a future 3rd or doing something goofy to get him on your roster, or you already have him. So we're just watching snaps right now. That's the main thing with Rashard Smith. Is he even getting on the field to get the opportunity? And it sounds silly. 0 offensive snap or 0 touches week 1, 1 touch week 2, 2 touches week 3. And
he's getting 4 this week. Clearly.
Full. Oh yeah. So, and he's on kick return duty as well, making some big plays there. And so we're just looking at he's right around 10 to 15% snaps right now. If we can see him get to 25% or boost up a little bit, that's when we can start to say, okay, we might be cooking here. But again, this is not a guy we're looking to put in our fantasy lineup this week. This is a guy we're saying week 8, week 9. Oh, big play.
Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com, also known as Russ J. Clay. He goes by many names. DJ Moore, disappointing to date. AJ Brown, one big game, disappointing to date.
Yep.
Moore or Brown? Which one are you of these two veterans that were drafted? Was Brown wide receiver 5'6"? Moore was 12, 14. Which one of these two veterans, Moore or Brown, has you more concerned for 2025 given what you've seen?
I would say both, actually. And it's funny because AJ Brown's coming off a big game. Those that stuck with him got that payoff.
Yep.
I do wonder how many games this year the Eagles are going to need him. And he's probably going to be pissed by midseason. AJ Brown's good at making it known when he's pissed, but they don't need him, Ray. I mean, that was my big takeaway. They've played the best teams they're going to play this year. And they really didn't need him, like, other than this past game against the Rams in the comeback mode, but they're going to be dominating almost every team this year. I mean, they're playing the Cowboys and the Giants and, a bunch of random teams. In these runaway games, they're just not going to pass much. And we've accepted our fate there. DJ Moore, like the player, Roma Dunze is the one there, clearly. They have tight ends. They're using Cole Kmet and Loveland. They have Luther Burden, who they drafted in the second round with a new head coach, new regime. So both are not in fun fantasy situations, even though they're still very good. And that's where we are, Ray, in 2025. It's different. It's different than it was. Teams just aren't passing as much, and these defenses, Jeff did a great thing on One Man's Opinion. It's like these defenses are kind of shifting fantasy points now. And what do we do? I don't know, but I know a lot of these guys are not getting the upside they used to.
Yeah, and I mean, if you didn't see the catches that AJ Brown had last week, go watch him. Like, he's making great catches and he's trucking people. Like, he's making great catches and running people over. Like, to think that a team not going to get him, like, it's like you said, and you're right. And we've talked about this previously too. The era of football is different now. The Bills do this sometimes. The Ravens do this sometimes. The Eagles, they're just going to win the game 23-10. They don't care. They just want to win, right? So they're not worried about the fact that let's get the ball to one of the three best wide receivers in football. Let's let him do his thing. We'll throw him the ball 4 times to win a game. But you're right. AJ Brown ain't going to like that. Did you hear those comments?
I hope you're right, John. I don't know if I believe him, though, John. Do we believe him?
Dude, I don't generally believe much of what we hear in the media. Do you? I don't. My default is no.
Yeah, my default is no as well.
T. Higgins got overpaid.
Yeah,
They should have spent the money in other spots. They didn't. Now Joe Burrow goes down, and oh boy. I've seen people, like, it's one thing to say Moore and Brown have been disappointing. I've seen panic, like, with Higgins with some people. I've even heard of people, like, making offers like, I'm going to offer Khalil Shakir for him. It's like, sure. Like, where are we at with T. Higgins? It was terrible last week for the entire offense. It will get better. But we're 3 games in, and, he's got 7 catches and 100 yards and done anything.
I'm out. I can't do Jake Browning.
Okay.
Shout out Jake Browning. He took my soul in that Jags-Bengals game. But no, I'm out.
What do you do?
I'll start Jamar Chase every week. Continue starting Jamar Chase.
Right.
This T. Higgins thing.
Is he wide receiver 3? Or, like, not even that for you every week?
I wouldn't want him in my lineup at all. And the thing is, T. Higgins is an excellent receiver, but how does he win? Is those deep passes and that Joe Burrow hyper accuracy. And he did not do well the last time Jake Browning was in. It was very inconsistent. And I remember something in my brain remembers because I had to start him a few times. I don't like this situation at all. And I don't know how much better it gets for this Bengals team. They gave up last week. That game was over instantly. They absolutely gave up. And I don't know how much longer that coach is going to be around, even though, they stuck with Marvin Lewis for a decade longer than they should have. But I don't know how much longer he's going to be there.
Russell Clay, fantasyguru.com. A couple tight end questions for you. My opinion, you carry 1 tight end. We're not carrying 2 tight ends. Don't do the 2 tight end thing. Don't go pick someone the other day. They were in a league that didn't have a tight end spot. They had 3 tight ends on the roster. I'm like, what? So carry 1 tight end. In that vein, you carry Mark Andrews or Jake Ferguson. Like, Ferguson explodes last week, 14 targets. Andrews exploded, 2 touchdowns. If you had to choose one of these two guys, Andrews or Ferguson, in a PPR setup, which guy would you prefer?
Okay. I was interested in Mark Andrews before the season,
Right.
and those first 2 weeks extinguished any interest at all.
Right.
He did have an enormous game. There will be more, but we've seen through 3 games, the Ravens don't care who gets the production. It could be Devontae Walker. It could be Zay Flowers. Last week, it was Rashad Bateman and Andrews. They're going to switch it up every week, whatever the defense gives them. And that's not going to be Mark Andrews every week, especially with Likely out. Now, Jake Ferguson, without Lamb, those targets are not going to be 13 catches every week, but they are going to be good enough. So I'll take Ferguson and just set for a while. Yeah.
Like the Ravens are averaging like 37 points a week. Like it's crazy. And, Bateman and Wallace and Hopkins, these guys are scoring touchdowns on 14 snaps. Like it's just crazy.
Ferguson has 22 catches over the last 2 games. That's insane.
That's insane. It is. He's a PPR monster. He's Austin Eckler at the tight end spot. Hunter Henry, or Kyle Pitts. Which of those two guys? Pitts has been stable and consistent, surprisingly. Henry, big game last week. We've talked about this. It looks like Drake May and Henry, that he's kind of the number 1 receiver for the team right now. The wide receiving core is all over the place. Henry or Pitts the rest of the way?
Hunter Henry is the pick for me.
Okay.
Michael Penix is an interesting fella as far as fantasy is concerned. He's not all too concerned. He likes getting the ball to Bijan and Drake London, but he has not been playing very well for upside purposes. Hunter Henry's on an offense that is an absolute roller coaster. It is pure chaos from start to finish. If you were watching these Patriots games, Patriots fans are sick to their stomach for 4 quarters every weekend. I love it because I just get to the end and I get my Drake May fantasy points.
Right.
They are fumbling. They are getting big plays.
Yep.
They are throwing interceptions in the red zone. They're fumbling at the goal line. They're scoring touchdowns wide open. It's awesome. So I like Hunter Henry in this offense. He's going to continue to get a lot of fantasy production, not just for good reasons, but for bad reasons too. So poor Mike Vrabel. He's got to be furious yelling at everybody. And guys, I will say Ramondre Stevenson might be 1 fumble away from getting cut. So I saw some start sits with him. I'd be real careful. If you watched last game, you can't fumble on the 1 and fumble again with Mike Vrabel. That's just not going to happen. So yeah.
Justin K's got a question if we hit a couple of these up before we end the show here. Looking at the quarterback spot, Russ, Daniel Jones or Geno Smith? Are we splitting hairs here? Is there an obvious call this week? Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, what you got?
Oh, we're splitting. We saw Geno Smith stunk last week, and then he got about 20 points in the 4th quarter in garbage time. I'd be curious how it looks when the Raiders are winning these games. I'd just go with Jones, but it's a tough matchup. So pick one and ride for a few weeks. I keep making this decision every week is really tough. So I would just go with conviction. Look the next 3 to 4 weeks, pick a guy. I would pick Daniel Jones and just ride it out. I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but I like to save myself from myself, and I feel like you're at risk of getting this wrong every single week.
And yes, that's why you don't carry 2 tight ends. Why you don't carry 2 quarterback is, you got Jalen Hurts. You don't need a second quarterback.
And Ray, I just want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
When we do start sits, we're looking at week to week, super micro under the microscope.
Right.
The way I look at this, and I said this with Drake May at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, how many total fantasy points am I getting?
Right.
there's going to be bumps. There's going to be bad performances. But if I stretch it out and I just say, all right, I'm getting 300 fantasy points. I think he's going to be a QB1 this year. I'm just going to go every week, kind of like Caleb, right? And it worked out last week. Like there's going to be some terrible Caleb performances, but if I just start him every week, it's going to average out over the course of a year. So that's the way I would look at Daniel Jones. I feel like Geno could get benched at some point. So that's why I'd go with Daniel Jones.
And that's the same thing I said with Kyler Murray. People say, I'm disappointed with Kyler Murray. You're just playing Kyler Murray because guess what? At the end of the year, he's QB 11. Just play him. Like if you drafted him, you shouldn't have drafted him if you were in on it because this is Kyler Murray. This is how
here we are.
Always been, yeah. Broly 619, and I'll just say this: we'll answer the receiver question first. And you said this yourself. If I had Jamar Chase, he's never coming out of my lineup. If you're not going to play Jamar Chase, if you're legitimately Broly going to bench Jamar Chase, trade him because there's no point to have him if you're not. He's just in, and that might be 5 catches for 50 yards the rest of the way and 4 touchdowns. It may be crap, but he's never leaving my lineup. That's me personally. So if we have to sit somebody here and Chase, you're nodding your head. Igbuka or Keenan Allen is out in a non-PPR. It's a tough call. Allen's been scoring. He scored the last 3 games, I believe. Igbuka's got 3 touchdowns, right? Igbuka or Keenan Allen, again, the answer is neither. They're both absolutely starters, but in a non-PPR, who you benching this week, Igbuka or Allen? It's an easy one, Russ. Come on.
Okay, Broly, I'm not saying this is an easy start sit, but I would go with Chase and Igbuka. I know Keenan Allen's wide receiver 8. I know he's stolen poor lad McConkey's entire role, but I just can't sit Chase in fantasy football if he's healthy, even with Jake Browning. I get it though. And if you want to go Allen, I'm not going to hate on that. I don't think that's terrible with Browning, but I just can't do it.
Then the running back again, non-PPR. We're starting 2 of these guys: Kyron Williams, Amarian Hampton, Jordan Mason. For me, again, this is me. I don't know if you agree or not. Kyron Williams is always in. I mean, he's basically scored a touchdown a game for 2 years. He's always in a non-PPR for me. So I'm saying Kyron Williams is in, and then it's a question for me with Mason or Hampton. Is that how you see it? What's ultimately your decision? Which of the 2 backs?
I won't be sitting Omari and Hampton in fantasy football for the next 5 years. So
okay.
He is an RB1. He was an RB1 last week. He's on an amazing offense. He's got a great matchup. The fact that you can't start one of those guys, they're like 3 top 10 running backs this week. So Mason's got a great matchup too, but I cannot sit Hampton again ever. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and this is one of those questions. Broly did a great job, right? You obviously drafted Mason as a support piece. Jones goes down with an injury. Now you got a guy. The answer is none of those guys in a non-PPR should ever be benched. Ever.
Yeah, we need an extra flex there, Broly. Yeah. That's a great lineup.
Yeah, and again, same with the wide receivers. None of those wide receivers should be sat. We need an extra flex, or we need the 3 wide receiver league, or again, great team and it's good long term, but as Russ said, benching top 15 guys, it's just very difficult to do. Russ Clay at fantasyguru.com joins us every Friday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We go about a half hour, went a little bit long today. Russ, thanks for your time as always. What's going down the next couple of days over the weekend here? Obviously, you've got the show on SiriusXM on Sunday nights.
Yeah, we do the recap show on SiriusXM on Sunday nights with Justin Fensterman. Basically, go through the slate, review all the fantasy relevant information, and we have some fun on there. Of course, we have our trending article that comes out on Monday. I have that college football DFS article that comes out, and my buddy keeps texting me about the Ryder Cup. I don't know anything about the Ryder Cup, but I hear that's on, Ray. Do you know anything about that?
That is golf, right? Yeah. No, I don't know anything about that. So no, I'm not going to pay attention.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, that's a lot. He's Russell Clay. You can follow him on Twitter X at Russell J. Clay, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I think it's Russell Clay in Discord over at FG. As always, Russ, been a good time. Thanks for the visit. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next Friday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Ray.
You got it. He's Russ. I'm Ray. We'll be back here on the show on Monday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The only day of the week where there's one of us solo. I go an entire hour just reviewing what happened on Sunday football. So join us on Monday for that at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. For Russ, I'm Ray. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily powered by fantasyguru.com. Have a great weekend, folks.